Gen X had it easy. Cheap houses, accessible loans, and stable jobs.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? I had to put in the hard work. I had to do the sacrifice. I had to develop a value system that has made me, hopefully, the man that I am today. So you're saying that people shouldn't work hard?
No, I'm saying you work smart, not hard.
This is fascinating. It's as if I'm talking to a species from an alternate universe. I'm usually not at a loss for words, but I'm sort of trying to wrap my head around your processing of how the universe works. I was born in the 70s. I'm not going to give my real age. When were you born?
I was born in the thousands, in the 2000s. I think Gen X didn't do such a great job, to be very honest, in raising kids.
I think your lack of experience is evidently showing.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Gen X's work culture comes from a colonial and Eurocentric place.
Hello. Hello.
Oh, well, hello. Maybe I will start by asking you to tell me who you are.
Okay. My name is Nosim Natasha. I am a creative entrepreneur, a podcaster, a content creator, and a lover of life. Yeah. A student as well for film and animation studies in Mount Kenya University, a journalism graduate of Mount Kenya University as well. Yeah. So I qualify as a journalist as well, apart from film director and an animator.
I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Those are careers that we never had. My generation, growing up. My name is Derek Banga. I like to say that I help people to discover their superpowers. And by superpowers, I mean being seen, being heard, and being remembered for the right reasons in a professional environment. So I help people develop these soft skills or power skills. How to communicate well, how to leverage emotional intelligence, even how to dress for the occasion.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I've had a long and varied background. I've worked in finance. I've worked in PR. I've even worked in media. And occasionally I will pretend to be someone else in front of a camera. But that's another career.
Yeah.
So that's me in a nutshell.
But that means you have a wide scope of life.
You know what? I have lived a long life. I have gathered enough experience.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will come out in this conversation.
Yeah.
Where I have lived and worked on 3 continents. I have met different people. And even today, interacting with different generations in the workplace.
Amazing, outstanding. So I'm the Gen Z and you're the Gen X, yeah?
I am firmly Gen X.
Excited to have this conversation, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was born in the 70s. I'm not going to give my real age. When were you born?
I was born in the thousands, in the 2000s. Okay. Yeah.
All right, so this should be an interesting conversation.
Yes, it is about to be a very interesting conversation. Yeah.
Gen Z quit quietly because they're lazy and lack communication skills.
Now, I want us to know who is going to be speaking first. The person who is being addressed is not speaking first.
No, it doesn't matter. Go for it.
Okay. So, first of all, I would love to understand what the meaning of quit quietly is.
I can give you the definition of that.
Kindly.
So, quitting quietly is where you show up for work, but don't put in 100% of the effort. You do the bare minimum. So already there, I see a difference in terms of my generation, Gen Zs, where we showed up to work, whether it was putting in the hours, say from 8 to 5, but we were there, we were present. And not only 5 o'clock, for many of us, certainly in some of the careers I've been in finance, you literally had to put in many extra hours in order for you to succeed and rise up the corporate ladder. Quiet quitting was not even something that anybody thought about. And if indeed you came in and you didn't put in the effort, not only were you not rewarded, very often either your career stalled or you were simply let go.
Well, I beg to differ because I believe quitting quietly is you literally doing what you've been paid to do. exactly what it is. If it's a 9 to 5, you're clocking at 9, you clock out at 5. You're paid to edit, you don't shoot, you don't do anything else. You're paid to edit. That's what you do. So I believe that is what quit quietly is, because at the end of the day, they expect you to go above and beyond for something you're not going to get.
No, see, let me ask you a question. If you're in a relationship, do you do the bare minimum in order to make that relationship work?
This is not a relationship, though.
Are you kidding me? You're in a relationship with that organization.
No, yes, I am in a relationship in an organization. But then again, this is not a romantic relationship. It's not a friendship. It is a work-related relationship. Because if I go above and beyond, guess what that is? Exploitation. And I'm not about to do that. I guess the older generation believes that when I'm going above and beyond, that shows how persistent I am or how good I am. Yet I am as good. You just don't want to pay me enough to do the other good that I can do.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take your point of view. But don't you get some personal satisfaction from knowing that you have not only done the bare minimum, but you've actually done a little bit more? Forget about what your boss or that organization or what you think you're entitled to. Just personal satisfaction of having done something, even if that person is not looking.
Yeah.
So staying an extra hour, without even your boss knowing about it, without any sort of request for more remuneration, but just the satisfaction as a human being that you have gone above and beyond it. That doesn't factor in at all?
I wouldn't do that, because that is basically making someone else richer at my expense. I would rather be rich.
But why is everything in terms of...
Because everything it is in terms of as much as you don't want to accept it, at the end of the day, it's the money that matters. Let's be honest. It's the money that matters. Because, and I'm speaking this out of a situation where I've seen people go above and beyond for people who don't reciprocate them in the workplace, yeah? Let's assume I want to remain at work, yes? But then again, I'm not going to get a promotion. I'm not going to get my salary increased. And I do that because I love it so much. But yet again, if I have kids at home, they expect to eat. They expect to spend time with me. What am I getting from the workplace?
Nosim, you're making a lot of assumptions. You're assuming you're not going to get promoted. You're assuming that you're not going to be given a bonus. Let's just say that you are given a bonus.
Okay.
Let's say this is a progressive organization.
Yeah.
They will promote you.
Yeah.
They will recognize your hard work. They will recognize the fact that you have gone above and beyond.
But what's the difference though? Like the timelines, not timelines, the differences between the companies that give you that and the companies that don't. The majority is the companies that don't. So I'd rather, the time that you are telling me to nibaki job, I remain at work, I'd rather go build my own company.
You're making a huge
and do
assumption.
Another 8 to 5 for myself.
You're making a massive assumption.
Am I
Most places of work.
Am I though?
Most places of work are built on a meritocracy. You work hard.
In Kenya?
You are rewarded for that. And listen, I have had the advantage of having lived and worked on 3 continents.
Yeah.
I've worked in the US, I've worked in Europe, and I've worked in Kenya. I've worked for a myriad of organizations.
And may I ask
Most
a question?
Organizations.
May I ask
Most
a
organizations.
question?
Let me make my point. Most organizations are built on a system of meritocracy. Otherwise, those organizations will not be successful. They recognize talent and they then promote, nurture that talent in order for that organization to succeed.
Okay.
Most people who have landed in positions of either management or positions of leadership, in most cases, have gone through a career progression where they've been recognized for the work they've done, the hard work, yes, invariably their talent, certainly their qualifications, and then they're promoted to the next level. That is not how.
So I would love to ask, what position were you working in Kenya, if you don't mind sharing? Like, what were you doing exactly, and what level were you in the corporate ladder?
I was a senior consultant for a large media relations and public relations company.
So me, I'm speaking from a point of, you are literally starting. You are starting your career, you know. You're in the, let's say, bank, and you're a call
teller.
Yes. Or a call center attendant or something.
Okay.
You will work overtime and you would be made to, I'll give you an example of someone I know. I hope they won't mind. But yes, there's a person I know who worked as a call center, call center. And they had a specific number of calls to pick in a day. I think 160. You have to pick 160 calls in a day for 30,000 shillings. Do you think that is fair, genuinely speaking?
Look, every organization has to create a starting salary that's commensurate for their industry, for the people who work there. I've actually done call center work. That was my first job when I graduated from university many moons ago.
Yeah.
I worked in a call center.
But then
I was taking calls and I had a particular quota or goal or number to hit. I did that consistently over a period of time. And then after a few months, I was promoted to the next level.
I would love to put it in there that, first of all, the money that you are earning is not similar to what we are earning.
Okay, so your
That's
quibble
one.
is with the amount of money for that. If that person was being paid double that salary,
Then it would make
it's okay
sense.
to sit there and take calls.
Because you chose to do that. Let's start there. You chose to do that. That's one. And then two, if you're being compensated for your work, then it's okay to do it. You can do as much as long as it is equivalent to the effort you're putting
So
in.
what do you think is a fair starting salary for somebody who works at a call center?
I wouldn't
Who has-
know. First
who
of all,
has
I
that?
wouldn't know because I think
Okay, that's exactly right. You don't know.
I wouldn't say.
But you've just gone ahead and said 30,000.
That is small. I don't know, but that is small.
It's small based on what? Where do you get that?
Based on the amount of work they put in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gen X are too stubborn to adapt to a changing world.
Well, first of all, as I have, well, maybe I didn't say, but let me say right now, I happen to be in a position where I work with people who are Gen Zs, I work with millennials. I obviously work with people who are in my generation, and I'm also working with people who are baby boomers. I am literally straddling all of those different generations. And so I've had to adapt to listen to a senior partner who's a baby boomer, who has a certain amount of experience or has certain expectations, and also to listen to a young person like yourself, a Gen Z, who again has certain expectations.
Yeah.
So in terms of adaptability, I think that certainly a lot of us, and I can speak for myself, we're doing a fantastic job to be able to adapt to being in that sort of a working environment. Secondly, we were not around when the technology that is easily available to your generation and is a part of whom you are was around. We've had to actually adapt that. I'm certainly using AI to help me. I'm on the internet and I'm using every available piece of technology to help me become successful at whatever it is I do for work. So I actually do not buy the premise that we are not adaptable.
I agree because yes, you might be using AI and moving on with the times and learning to work with people who are younger and older than you, but it's not all of you that are doing that. And I'll speak from experience. I have seen people who cannot accept that AI is literally taking over our jobs places. They don't want to look at the media in Kenya right now. They have struggled so much from getting out of the analog type of content, TV, kubaki tu hapo. They don't want to get out of that. They want to keep on posting. Airing on Citizen. And
I don't think that's 100% true.
Well, I can't speak from it. I can speak about it because I have been in a media house where people literally are fighting going to the digital spaces because they think that their jobs are going to be lost, that they think they're not good enough to adapt to the digital world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see a lot of that traditional media, legacy media, being consumed in different forms than when we did. A lot of people are now getting their news either digitally or they're getting it from YouTube clips.
How long did that take though? That's the question. It took long to involve the younger generation and telling them, okay, we need to switch from the traditional media to the digital one.
And by the way, the legacy media that has refused to adapt has died, has gone by the wayside. Those who are now surviving and thriving in this environment, the so-called legacy medians, are the ones who have co-opted and adapted and are using modern technology to help them survive in this world. Because guess what? their target market and their clients are you.
That's
and
true.
you're consuming your news from YouTube clips. You're not
Yes.
necessarily sitting down at 9 o'clock and watching
Tuning
the
in.
news the way that
That's
you
true.
used to do.
Yes. But then again, they have seated down, waited to see what would happen if we didn't, and then they saw other media houses dying. And they were like, oh, so it means it's either we do it or we die. So see, it was hard for them to be convinced to come on the other side of things because times are moving fast, know?
Look, maybe this is where we reach middle ground. I agree. If you do not adapt, you will die. And those, particularly if we're choosing this industry as the media that have not adapted, have fallen by the wayside. There are newspapers that have closed.
That's true.
There's local media that has closed. And the ones who are surviving now, I think, have...
So that's why I'm coming from. Some of them are hard-headed. They don't want to switch up and move on with the times because they think their way is the only way. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Gen Z want a soft life without working for it, whereas Gen X earned it through sacrifice.
Don't say that. What do you mean? For some reason, the older generation thinks sacrificing is the only way to do things. The hard work is the only way to do things. Why? We were not meant to suffer. We were not meant to. You can actually live well in this life and you don't have to suffer. You don't have to go through tough times for you to become a good person.
You think sacrifice is suffering?
Sometimes it is. If it's not out of choice, it is.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How do you live your life? When you wake up in the morning, there are certain things that you do, even as somebody who is a content creator,
Yeah.
where you say to yourself, I am going to forego this. So I'm going to use an extreme example. Your friends ask you out for a party at 8 o'clock in the morning, but you know that there is a certain amount of content that you have to shoot that day. Isn't that an easy choice for you to say that it's 8 o'clock in the morning? You guys can have your fun. There is a certain amount of work that I need to do or content that I need to shoot or work that I need to do as somebody who wants to become successful in my field. Wouldn't you call that sacrifice?
That is
you'd much
sacrifice
rather
because
exactly.
it is my choice. It is my choice. I chose not to go outside to, make my content. But then again, it comes to... Let's use the corporate world again because, most people are there. You are sacrificing your time with your family to do something that is not in your payroll, something that is not in your work, whatever description. That is sacrifice, but I didn't choose to do that, man. That is not my choice.
So in your case,
yes,
if somebody else asks you to forego something, sacrifice in your words, working for somebody else, that in your case is not something that you should do.
Unless it is monetarily compensated. Unless it is, and I want to do it. If I don't want to, I'm not going to do it, whether you give me money or not. First of all, I have to want to do it. Then it will be a worth sacrifice. And two, if I want to do it and there is monetary compensation. Yeah.
Okay, everything keeps coming back to a monetary compensation.
Yeah.
Why does anything done that is worth value have to have a monetary component to it? I'm really curious.
How do you value things though? Anything, how would you value anything? Like, let's assume it's my time. We have a saying, time is money. Everything at the end of the day, as much as we try to avoid this, and I'm so sad I learned this very much later on. I personally, I believe money is everything. Like everything is around it.
Listen,
yeah.
I understand that in order for us to be able to exist and perhaps live the type of lives that we want to live.
Yes.
Sure, money's there. But I have a value system where I value things like self-awareness. I value things like resilience. I value things like sacrifice. I value things like mentorship. And there is no monetary component to that.
Then
that's a value system that as a human being who is endowed with certain capabilities,
Yeah.
that's what makes life worth living.
And I love
It is
that.
about helping a young person like yourself to become
A
successful.
better person. Yes, that's true.
But there's no monetary component there.
But then again, you have to think about where you're coming from. There are situations you cannot consider that as your value system. Before I reach where you are, I have to value money first. Because you are speaking from a point of abundance and a point of privilege. That is why you get to, yes, you are. Let's not lie.
What? You don't know anything about my background. You don't know if you have no idea.
I'm not talking about the background. I'm talking about you right now.
In terms of how I grew up, you don't know if I come from a place of abundance.
Well,
in fact, if anything else, if I came from a place that was less privileged, are you kidding me? I had to put in the hard work. I had to do the sacrifice. I had to develop a value system that has made me, hopefully, the man that I am today.
Yes, but let me ask you, when you were at that level, if you at all were there, if you had to go through thick and thin to get your daily bread, rent, all that, do you think if you are in that position right now, because I think Gen Zs are having a tougher time growing up than you guys did, that is something we're going to talk about later, but if you were the same person who was pining for food and rent and the bare minimum, do you think you would say, let me do this work, let me sacrifice a few more hours for nothing? Do you think you'd do that?
This is fascinating. It's as if I'm talking to a species from an alternate universe. I'm usually not at a loss for words, but I'm sort of trying to wrap my head around your processing of how the universe works. Now, I get it. There's certain things that are coming out to me. And again, I don't mean to be sitting on a soapbox and preaching to you from my lofty perch as a Gen Z. But perhaps if there is something that I can share with you, that not everything in this world is about monetary compensation. I realize that there's certain things that obviously you do need money in order to survive.
Need.
But don't you realize that, for example, if you were to work hard, if you were to put in extra hours, if you were to go above and beyond, that the reward that you are going to get perhaps a little bit later down the road is far greater than the short-term temporary satisfaction that you might get from some of the things that you're advocating.
It might happen or might not. I've seen, I've been in school, high school, and there are kids who literally woke up at 4 a.m, put their feet in the basket and study the whole time. And this is not, I felt so sad because at the end of the day, all that hard work led to nothing. They ended up failing still. I'm saying this I've seen people who work so hard, but end up with nothing in their older years. Case in point, people from my hometown. I've seen people who work so hard. They were exactly what you're saying and end up with nothing. So it happens.
So you're saying that people shouldn't work hard?
No, I'm saying you work smart, not hard. Work hard and smart if you can. But work smarter is better than working hard, to be honest.
Okay. Move on to the next.
Gen Z do not respect tradition or religion.
That's funny. Okay. I don't think Gen Zs don't respect tradition and religion. First of all, I am a very religious person. Very is crazy. I am a religious person. I respect tradition, but it depends with what tradition is saying. For me to respect it, it has to make sense. Because there are things that are traditionally accepted that don't sit well with me right now.
You see, Nosim, I think you come from a point of view where you want your cake and you want to eat it too. And you can't cherry pick these things in life. Life simply does not work like that. You can't go to the Bible and pick out a verse that works for you and discard another verse.
But then again, let's use the Bible. The Bible has been edited. Me, you cannot remove me from that stand, that hill. I'm dying there. The Bible has been edited. It is it allows for racism. It allows for patriarchy. It allows for what else? There are a lot of things the Bible allows for, and I don't think God is like that.
Let's not go down that route.
Okay,
Let's discuss. If you were in a particular industry, okay, and I'm not going to pick a particular industry, and that industry has a particular tradition. It has a particular way of working, something that has worked in order for that industry to be successful, or even an organization, forget about industry, and you were brought into that organization. You're either hired or you're part of that industry. I get it. There is room for disruptors. Some people have been very successful. But when you talk about working smart, wouldn't you be able to come in and use what the tradition of that particular industry and then use that to your advantage in order for you to become successful? Wouldn't that be the definition of working smart?
If the traditions, at the end of the day, it's about me. This is my life, like it's me. So if the tradition suits me and I want to I want to do it that way, then it's okay. I can work like that. But then again, if the tradition doesn't make sense, let's say, what's the tradition that would be insane in a corporate world?
We can talk about work hours. We can talk about...
Let's say work hours, and it's 7 to 5. I'm 10 to 6 or 7.
You don't even know those work hours.
Because I've not... a 9 to 5?
Yeah.
But there are places where work hours are different.
Fair enough. Okay,
yeah. So if I find that let's say I'm a boss somewhere and my team is found to be very active during the morning hours and the evening hours, there's nothing they do, then I'd rather take advantage of the morning hours and leave them in the evening hours than have them the whole day there doing nothing, So if it works in our benefit, let's say I'm the owner of the company, if it works to the best of the company that I own, then we'll do that. Because at the end of the day, it's my company. It works for me. If it doesn't, then I change things up.
I want you to speak from the point of view of somebody who's employed at that particular company. You're employed and you're supposed to work from 9 to 5.
If I don't want to work from 9 to 5, it's either I bear with it or I leave. Because if it's not suiting me and I have the capacity to live and take care of myself without the salary, then why should I do it if it's mentally draining me?
I think you've answered that question because leaving then would be the option if you didn't want to.
There's literally nothing else I can do. I'm an employee.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So in order for you to be, shall we say, successful, to work in that particular organization, you do realize that there are certain norms and traditions that you're going to have to adhere to. And if you don't want to, which is entirely up to you, there is a door which doesn't hit you on the way behind.
Yes, and I fully, that's why we have, resignation letters. Yeah, I agree. Because at the end of the day, if it is first of all affecting your mental health, your emotional state, why are you there? Unless you really need the money.
Okay, 9 to 5.
No, I'm talking about
adversely affect your mental.
And I didn't say that. You said that. But if it does, because there are people who personally I don't think I'd thrive in a 9 to 5. I'd probably be sulking all day, every day, because I don't think my brain can handle that. And I know people will say, sometimes you have... No, I will not put myself through that because I know I can make money in other ways. Yeah. So if that will affect me, why would I put myself there? If that would, if being told when to eat, when to not eat, when to start doing this, if that affects me, then I'd rather look for something else that can pay my bills, that doesn't require, that.
We'll move on to the next point.
Yeah.
There's so much I want to say on that, which I think we'll come back to.
This is a good one. Gen X's work culture comes from a colonial and Eurocentric place.
Hello. Yeah. What do you think?
So first of all, let's look at the history of corporate culture in a country like ours in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in a system where we operate with other organizations, whether they're around the world or within Kenya.
Mm.
there are certain ways of doing business that, yes, I'm not going to use the word colonial, but is a Western style of doing business. This is a business model that has shown to be successful for most organizations and corporations around the world. If you're working for a multinational company, clearly that is the business model that you're going to use. If you're setting up your own business or you're working for some other sort of organization, there are certain standards, there are certain ways of doing business that have been proven over multiple generations to be successful. Now, everybody is entitled. If you want to set up your own business, you can set up your own style or way of doing business. To create that line between the way we do business and to link it to colonial times, I think is a cop-out. It is simply what works to, whether it's maximize profit or to make sure that the shareholders are getting their fair benefit, or that you're creating an environment for the people who work there in order for them to be successful. So for me, the link between that and colonialism does not even exist.
Okay, so I think exactly that. First of all, I think the way Gen X, because Gen X are, most of them right now are at the top of the line.
And by the way, Gen X is again, it depends on the type of organization there. Like I said, there are plenty of baby boomers who set up organizations where they set them up in the 70s.
But I think you guys have a similar way of thinking.
That are there.
Yeah. So I think Gen X is who are probably at the top of the ladder right now because, age and experience. They tend to go on with the colonial way of operating things, not only businesses.
What is the colonial way of operating? That
making sure it's like the milk. They're milking a cow, taking everything. That's what I think it is.
What are you talking about?
When I am down there as what can I say? What's the smallest? What's the lowest rank in a corporate world? I don't know. When I'm down there, I get, first of all, of course I understand it's the job that I take, that I get, the salary that I get.
Every organization is completely maligning entry-level workers or the people who are at the bottom of the corporate ladder.
Listen, let me get to my point. Let me get to my point. If I am down there, most of Gen Zs are there right now because they're starting their lives right now, Cindy. So me being down there, first of all, the time.
That is not true.
I've said most. Good. I've not said all of them. Okay. I've said most.
No, but there's nothing like most. There's certain entry-level jobs, but there are plenty of people who are in your generation who are successful. They've moved up because of the skills that they're bringing, because that they work a little bit differently.
Yes.
Who are now an integral part of leadership within many of these organizations.
Now then, I'm talking about the people that are, I don't. I think we are in two different worlds.
Yeah, we definitely are in two different worlds.
Into very different worlds, and that's why. Hey, for some reason, I think I don't want to say you're out of touch. I don't want to say that, but I feel like that is what it is. Because when you look at the people right now, with this government, with the era we are at right now, most of the people are not where you're saying they are. Yes, some people are there, not gonna lie. And it's not because of, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not because of all the work they put in, all the places, the time and hours and all that. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's either sheer luck or someone somewhere. That is Kenya for you. I have not traveled outside. I have not been outside, so I can't speak for other places. But as of now, where I'm standing, a lot of people are struggling to get to the upper side of things, and the way things are going, most likely it's going to be remaining that way for a long time. But this is my point. The people who are down there mostly go through it than the people who are controlling, the hands that are controlling people, the managers, the general managers, the senior whatevers. Those people tend to make sure, even when I'm nicking a job, let's be honest, when I enter in interview right now and I'm told how much is the salary you expect, and I say 100 G's, they'll be like, we don't have that.
Where do you come up with these figures? Aren't you just concoct?
It's an example. It's an.
This is the second time that you've mentioned a specific amount of money.
It's because
I think you have a certain amount of money in your head based on what you do for a living that you think everybody.
Oh no! It's because I am surrounded by people in corporate. Let's say that, and that's the reason. That's exactly why I'll never. God forbid. Hey, Jamani, God. But yes, that's why I don't want to get to corporate. I've been surrounded by people who work in corporate. And I'm saying these numbers out of their salaries. It's not me. I promise.
Go ahead, finish your point.
But anyways, my point is...
I'm really struggling here not to interrupt you, but go ahead.
I'll get into a room and I niulizwe nataka how much, and I'll say 100,000 per month. And they'll say, we don't have that. Waseme 60 or 40. Yet... they're saying that to make sure their profits are higher. It's not because they genuinely don't have the money to pay them. It's because they want to earn more.
Okay.
And that is basically where I'm coming with the colonialism.
You're making huge, sweeping generalizations. You're conflating
I'm
issues.
not saying everyone is like that, though. It's
government to do with people being somehow...
but isn't everything connected? It's not. Okay.
You see, this is clearly where I think your lack of experience is evidently showing. You cannot make sweeping generalizations. I get it. There are certain environments, maybe certain industries, certain jobs where there is a definite imbalance or things are unfair. But if you are generally a young person who is looking to make their mark on the world and you want to go into the corporate world, which is up to you whether you choose to set up your own business or go into the corporate world, you have to start somewhere with a particular salary that is commensurate with that industry or with that organization. And I don't know any person who goes into an industry and says, these are my salary expectations without them having done some sort of research and knowing that in this particular industry, starting at this particular level, this is how much you're going to be compensated. And then you work your way through in terms of your career. You move to the next step, you get a salary increase or you get more responsibility, and then you move eventually, hopefully, into management or leadership or whatever the case might be.
I love the fact that you said some, because exactly what I'm explaining.
So what are you saying?
Some companies are exactly that and some others are not that. And I'm talking about the ones that are like that.
Give me an example of a company that's not.
I wouldn't. What? Why would I say that?
Give me
on
an
camera?
industry that's not like that.
That's not like how?
Yeah.
The banking industry. So media. What industry is not like that? Hospitals are like that. Schools, education, where is not like that?
So if you look at people who are in positions of leadership or management in those industries that you mentioned, you're telling me that most of those people who are now, in your words, managers or general managers, did not start...
It was an example, but
did not start at the bottom rung. Most of those people...
No, I'm not saying about them starting. I'm saying about the people who are down there being mistreated and not being given what they are due. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything else. And that's where my colonialism point was coming from. Yeah.
Gen X survived without therapy by sucking it up. Gen Z aren't as tough.
Okay. I believe that when I grew up, and I'll talk about growing up in terms of my career, the number of career-related ailments, particularly ones to do with either mental health, you can throw in things like burnout there, stress, were not recognized. And fair play to this generation, where we're now recognizing, and actually that's part of the work that I do. Part of the work that I do is to help organizations or help leaders recognize that your staff, your employees, need to put their mental health as a priority. So whether it is recognizing things like these people are, burnt out, they are stressed, or they don't have the resilience, and of course the environment that we live in, up to and including events that have taken place around the world, like the pandemic, and so on and so forth. When I say, or when somebody says, did we suck it up? Yes. I think we were built differently. I think we were certainly tougher. And I think that we were able to take on the complexities of a corporate environment and use that to help us to become either more successful or work even better or find different ways of dealing with some of the intricacies that come about with working in a challenging corporate environment, where I feel that your generation faces the slightest bit of adversity, and you not only label it, but you turn around and you give up.
So I'd say burnout and what anxiety. First of all, they're clinically recognized. So it's like saying, oh, she says she has malaria, she's pretending, ama it's nothing. It's something, because it is clinically recognized. And then I think,
yeah, that was not my point.
No, I'm just throwing it out there so people who would probably be
we realize that's that.
Some don't, but yes. Point is, Gen X, yes, they did suck it up. They did take whatever was coming to them, and whatever is annoying the older generation about us is that we choose not to do that. It's like you guys didn't know you guys had a choice, It's like you can say no. You can turn around and give up. It's okay to do that sometimes, because if that is your limit, if you have a limit, some people have a tougher skin, and it's okay if they want to go through it. But if you don't, why is it wrong for you to leave and quit? It's not wrong. I don't think it is wrong.
It's very interesting that you say that, because you're saying that talking from the point of view of maybe somebody who's working for a corporation. But as somebody who has their own company, you're going to be faced with challenges, if you've not already faced them.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you don't get that contract?
It's your choice. Like you.
No, I want you to answer the question. What do you?
Me.
Yes, you. What do you do when you're faced with some of these challenges?
It depends with the challenges I'm going through, to be honest. Because if it is something I can handle mentally, physically, if my corporation is going through financial problems, if I can handle it, then I'm gonna handle it. Because it's not like I'm weak or anything. It's just that I choose my battles wisely. If it's a battle, if I fight, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna fight it. But if I fight it and lose, what's the point? So I'm just gonna quit. If it is a big company, and it's like this big supermarkets that were there before, they thought they were gonna fight it, and they fought, and then they lost at the end of the day. If that is the situation, I know when to quit. I know, it's like when to get out of a stage as a artist or something. Yeah, that's what I think.
Like I said before, I think you're conflating a number of different issues over there. But the fact remains that even you yourself realize that in order to be successful at whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to have to undergo some trying times, regardless.
That is normal. Gen Zs don't say it's not going to happen. Whether you're working
for somebody else or you're working for yourself, this is a part of life. It is about being able to manage those difficult times, because you're not going to go through life, or shall I say your career, where you don't face a certain amount of challenges. And generally speaking, through the history of mankind, people who have succeeded, people who have become the best version of themselves, people who have generally lived a life that is worth living, have generally gone through a valley of despair and have risen up and have become successful. First of all, going through some of those challenging times teaches you so many life lessons. And whether you're working for yourself or you're working for somebody else, that is immaterial. It is about how you survive going through anxiety, going through depression, going through stress and developing the sort of resilience that then allows you to succeed, and not only succeed, to look back and say, I have gone through these trials, I have gone through the fire, and this has now given me some sort of resilience, some sort of wherewithal, has given me the tools to be able to succeed, because you cannot expect life to treat you fairly. And for you to turn around and say, you know what, I give up.
Sometimes you gotta give up. Sometimes you have to be very honest. Because at the end of the day, these trials and tribulations you go through are part of the trauma you have when you start your own business. You can't do certain things. You know, I was employed here, and this is what happened, and this is what happened. Now that is trauma that is going to limit me from doing things in the future. And that is why I'm saying there are battles you choose to fight. Even me in my content creation journey, there are things I'm going through. It's not like it's a bed of roses. No, I suffer. Sometimes I don't have gigs. Sometimes I do this. Sometimes I do this and it doesn't work. But then again, I choose to remain there because why? First of all, I love it. Because sometimes you cannot tell me to be resilient with something that is not a passion of mine. It's something that I'm not in love with.
Okay, well, first of all, the original question was, does my generation fare better in terms of dealing with the tough times versus your generation?
No, that's
so. Do you admit?
Was that a question?
Do you admit?
That I don't think that was the question.
Well, fair enough. But do you admit that your generation perhaps doesn't do as well with the difficult times?
They choose not to handle things the way you guys did. It's not that we don't deal with it better than you guys did. It's because you guys took everything that came to your face. And
I don't even know what you're saying right now. What do you mean you choose not to deal with it?
Because I'd rather leave it. Why am is that giving up?
If you're facing a
I don't think that's giving up. I think it's choosing your battles wisely. Because if you were put in my situation with my content creation and all that, probably the things I go through, you wouldn't handle. And the things you go through in your job, I can't handle. So it's a choice.
If you don't get the gig, then how do you deal with that situation? Let's talk specifically about what you said you go through.
No, that's not exactly what it is. But let's talk about the emotional baggage that comes on social media. There's bullying, there's all that. Okay. I choose not to listen to them because now when you're coming to money,
Gen X had it easy. Cheap houses, accessible loans, and stable jobs.
Yes.
That's entirely not true.
Really?
Kenya, yeah?
We are talking about Gen X in Kenya. Yes.
You can apply internationally, but we'll stick with Kenya most.
Cheap houses? Yeah. What else?
Accessible loans.
Yeah.
Accessible loans.
Stable jobs.
I want to see how you'll get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will say this. The macro environment, the economy was certainly different. But we also went through many severe challenges. And again, I'm because a lot of my work experience also comes from working outside of this country. So we went through stock market crashes. We went through, what am I doing? We went through downturns in the economy. Growing up in Kenya, an economy that was mismanaged. So I don't think it's fair. Oh, are you talking? What are you talking about?
I'm listening to you. I've not said a word. I have not.
Your non-verbal communication.
It's a reaction. I'm allowed to do that, though.
Is speaking volumes. So I don't think it is accurate to say that the challenges that we are facing in the present economy, we did not face as
Gen X, as
a younger generation, trying to make our way through.
Yeah,
we faced those same challenges. We faced that same sort of macro. The way this economy has been handled throughout the ages.
I disagree.
Having said that,
yes.
If you're talking specifically about, for example, access to loans to start a small business.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you want to bring in this current administration, for example, they actually ran on a platform of providing easy access to loans for a lot of you young people to start businesses. And by the way, a lot of these small business, these individual entrepreneurship opportunities simply did not exist because of the environment that we're in. For most of us, you graduated from school, you matriculated from university or college or, whatever level of education. You joined the workforce, whether that was with the government or you joined the corporate world, because the opportunities that you have as a content creator simply did not exist.
Okay.
That's my first salvo. Let me leave it there because I can see you're itching
very much so
to respond.
Yes. First of all, what you would get a house for kitambo is probably what someone is paying as rent in a place.
Yeah, but
let's say a good place.
I mean, you're ignoring simple things.
I'm just. Wacha niongee. So that's one. Okay. Two, yes, we are getting loans, but what is the return interest? Like, what is the interest that is there compared to yours? The economy is not doing wonderfully, to be very honest. So that is going to, of course, make us as Gen Zs fight and pine for it's basically just crumpling. It's just stepping on us over and over again. There is also the fact that right now we have globalization. Like, the world is like a small oyster, A job offer in Nairobi is being fought for by people in India, USA, and me as well as a Kenyan who is applying for the same job. So apart from that, there's also AI. There's also robots taking over the jobs that you guys used to have, kitambo, There is AI for editing. There's AI for what? For filling up.
First of all, I think you're really overblowing. I think you're overblowing the importance of AI, certainly as it is in its iteration right now in terms of taking over jobs. So first of all, let's just get that.
It is though. You don't think okay. Let's put AI on the side. No. It's okay. Whatever you say. Let's put it on the side. But either way, isn't it going to do that in a few years' time?
And we're talking about what is happening right now. I can't predict what is going to happen in the future. But let's
let's
talk about what's happening right now.
Bets. There's also the fact that it is taking over jobs. There is editors. There is AI editing tools. There are people who used to get paid kitambo from the work of editing. But right now, if I don't have to pay anyone and take AI do the job for me, why not do that?
Okay, you're talking about one specific category in one particular industry, and I even bet you, not that I've done my research, that you are overblowing the case that every editor's job here in Kenya has been taken.
No, I've not said that. I'm saying it is part of what is happening right now. Yes. It is happening right now. Yeah? Yeah. So apart from that, so basically what I'm trying to say is we are fighting 10 times competition than you guys used to fight for in your younger years.
All right. Let's go back to the original premise of this argument. Cheaper loans, tougher environment, cheaper housing. Right now, there is plenty of opportunities for young people that have been set up specifically to help you young people who have changed the entire economy because of the type of jobs that you are doing. In things like content creation, where you are set up in order for you guys to succeed. And you've been given every opportunity, not just locally, but internationally as well, where you have access to not only the funds that are going to help you succeed in that particular industry, but opening you up to be able to know what your peers are doing across the world, to be able to network with people across the world, which we did not have simply because we were not in a digital environment. You have every opportunity for you to be able to see how successful people are doing what you're doing in every country across this world, to be able to emulate them, to be able to network with them, to be able to work with them in order for you to be successful in your particular industry, which we certainly didn't have during the day. Now, if we're talking specifically about things like the cost of housing and things like that, listen, I don't necessarily want to go down that rabbit hole, but I can assure you that the challenges that we went through when we were growing up in order to be able to get housing are the same challenges that everybody else is going through. Now, whether those challenges make it easier or harder in order for you to be able to get access to mortgages or financing for your home, I'm not going to talk to the specifics of that. But I dare say that the challenges are more or less the same, even spanning across the number of years, because it's the same type of economy that we find ourselves in. And if anything, today, the number of, whether it's banks or institutions or places that you can get loans, I mean, there's no way back in the day that I could go to my phone and be able to access a loan from the comfort of my living room. So let's not overblow this particular...
We agree to disagree.
Event.
Yeah. We agree to disagree.
Gen X ignore how nepotism, tribalism, and sexism can hinder people, whereas Gen Z are pushing back.
Okay. So I will concede that nepotism, tribalism, sexism are, I'm not going to use the word rampant, but are part of the environment that we find ourselves in, particularly working in, shall we say, this country today. I will say that we recognize it, not that we say that it is not there. And the fact that we recognize it, even as somebody from my generation, because we had it back then, and it is certainly here today, and that we are not part of that particular problem, but there are many of us who are also trying to be part of the solution together with younger people such as yourselves. I absolutely will recognize that those things exist, particularly in our culture today. And that there are many of us who are spearheading organizations, who are working with young people like yourselves to make sure that this isn't something that we leave as a legacy for younger generations.
Yeah, and I also agree with the statement because even apart from the learned and woke Gen Xers and baby boomers, there are those specific ones that don't believe genuinely that we can work across tribes, we can work across families, we can work across gender. And it's the worst part is that most of the people that believe this are in positions of power. So they will dictate however the situations of the people being employed, the people who are being affected by the decisions they make. They don't want to accept that that will affect them, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so there's some common ground there.
Yeah.
These things exist, and
they are very huge in Kenya.
And all the generations need to do their part in
Yes.
order to change this type of culture.
But I would say mostly Gen X, because those Gen X and baby boomers, because those are the people who are mostly affected. They're the people who still have that mentality of we can't work across tribes and we can't work across genders. Because, you know, even when you look at history, those things specifically affected them the most. Apart from, yes, it is still affecting us, but we are getting out of those chains. If you look at the history, they were affected more than us. So they should work on themselves.
If Gen Z raised Gen X, they'd have done a better job.
Oh, yes. At least I wouldn't raise a kid who goes to Google how to feel emotions. That's crazy work. I feel like if I was raising a kid, I would do a better job than what my parents did. Let me speak out of experience. Parents, yeah, I would, and that is what I think.
Look, let me speak for myself personally.
Yeah.
Okay? Like I said, having lived and worked on 3 continents, I have been exposed to different, shall we say, ways of raising the younger generation. Now, I'm going to take the viewpoint that there are things that I learned having spent time in other countries about how to raise your generation, that were not part of how I was raised myself, that differed markedly from how my parents raised me. And I didn't get those things from here. I got them from being exposed. Now, I was exposed. I was lucky. I was able to, like I said, spend time outside of this country, and I saw that there are different ways that you can bring up this generation. So I'm not going to make sweeping generalizations in terms of how particular generation. Your generation has been exposed because the internet has leveled the playing field as far as the access to information is concerned. So it is easily available for you to see how things are done across the world, which we did not have the advantage of. But I am sure there are many people, my peers included, and that's who I'm looking at. I'm looking at my peer group of people who perhaps were lucky enough to be exposed through travel, through other means, to say, well, maybe there's a different way of speaking to a younger generation. There's a different way of raising this generation. There's a different way of dealing with conflict when you're with this particular generation. And I'd like to think, particularly in the type of work that I'm doing, where I talk about how to be an effective leader, how to communicate across generations, how to use emotional intelligence to get the best out of your team, up to and including things like mentorship. That not only am I using at work, but using in terms of raising a family.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
I think Gen X didn't do such a great job, to be very honest, in raising kids. That's one thing. They might have done well in other aspects, but when it came to raising Gen Zs, the reason we are the way we are is
Which
because
is what? How are you?
The way we are very what is it called? Assertive and not accepting things. It's not because we were taught not to be assertive. It's because we had to learn to be assertive. If I'm not taught by my parents how to be a certain way, how to communicate, how to feel my emotions, how to go over and talk to other people, then I'll have to do that by myself. And do you see how hard that is from a child point of view? They're not present, first of all. They're not. All you have to. They don't communicate with you.
If we were raised, Gen X was raised that way by our parents, then how come we don't respond to things or act the way that you do? Because we were raised the same way.
Because you guys take it, as I said before, you guys choose to take whatever is coming. And that is something I think you guys need to change. Yes, you need to change. So even millennials, some of them, you just take whatever is coming, You don't sift and decide, okay, this is what I want to take and this is what I don't want to take. And you guys were raised like that. And the problem is you did not sift and decide, maybe this I can handle, this I can't. This I can, this I can't,
Listen, I'm not going to, again, I don't want to make broad generalizations and I don't have the statistics in front of me. But I dare say there are certain people in my generation who raise children a certain way because that's how they were brought up. And there were some people, and that was their fault.
Because at the end of the day, it trickles down.
No, because there are plenty of my peers who decided we are not going to raise our children, you guys, the same way that our parents raised us. And they decided to do things differently. And the result of that is young, assertive, emotionally intelligent.
So you see that
young people like yourselves, and that is the direct cause or a direct result of having been brought up in that particular environment by Gen Xers like myself.
See, okay, now that's my point. There are people who are raised well, yes, and there are people who weren't, and the group that wasn't raised as well is the bigger share of numbers. The numbers are more. So in this group, there are people who will turn out to be shitty people, bad people, and these other will try and learn from the mistakes of their parents and learn from the mistake of other people, to get themselves where they want to get. So yes, I'm not gonna say all Gen Zs are perfect. No, some of us are genuinely not hardworking, working smart, or being resilient and all that. I agree, but not all of that means we are all like that. That's one. Yeah. And two, actually, just allow me to say two. And two, apart from the other group that actually is hardworking and resilient, they choose their battles wisely. And that does not sit well with the older generation because they feel like, I took it. Why can't you, be like me, suffer like me? No, thank you. I will not be doing that. Yeah.
If there's one point I would like the other side to walk away from today, it would be...
Okay, so we're talking about what they would walk away with or what I will walk away with.
What point that you've made would you want them to walk away with?
Oh, okay.
Just one point.
Okay.
I think as a result of this conversation, it's certainly apparent, it's clear, that more of these conversations need to be had in different settings and different types of environments. Yeah. But I think the one thing that I would like you to walk away with is the fact that not every single Gen Xer is quote unquote the way that you think they are. We are in a unique environment where all of us are exposed to the same type of information, the same type of media, the same type of socialization. And whether you're a Gen Z or a Gen X, we can pick and choose to use the sorts of things that are going to help our relationships, whether those are relationships at work or relationships at home or relationships in general. And there are plenty of people who are in my generation who are listening to the Gen Zs. So let me just make that abundantly clear and say this is the one thing that I want you to walk away with. That there are plenty of us who are willing to listen and hear out the things that you have said, and that we're willing to adapt, change, in order for you to be successful.
Okay.
I think I've said it.
Yeah. I would love for you to walk away with the same sentiment, like not all Gen Zs are quote unquote venye tumekwa kwa social media. Aki, I hope this is the way I'm speaking is okay. Thank you. Okay. So the way we have been portrayed on social media and on the internet isn't everyone. That's one. And what I'd love for you to walk away with from this conversation, you and probably the other Gen Xs that are watching that have a similar mindset, is that how am I gonna say this? You have to consider the cards we have been dealt. They are not, I know you've said they are similar, but our cards are not similar. The cards you are dealt and the cards we are being dealt are not similar. And of course, the reactions are not going to be the same. We cannot come and, make the same decisions you guys made with different cards. Do you get? Yeah. That's what it's.
Fair enough.
Yeah.